What happens when you overhear your own son calmly planning to leave the country using a loan taken out in your name? Before we go any further, take a second to subscribe, hit the hype button, and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? I let them believe everything was working. I let the plane take off, and only after it landed did I let the system do what silence had already decided. The phone sat on the kitchen counter, screen dark. I'd said goodbye to Corbin 3 minutes ago. Normal conversation, weather, work, nothing that mattered. I set it down and went back to my dinner, leftover chicken, rice, green beans straight from the microwave. The kind of meal you eat when you live alone and don't pretend otherwise. Then I heard her voice. "Is he still on?" Ayala asked. "No, he hung up." Corbin's voice came through clear, confident. "We're good." I froze with the fork halfway to my mouth. The call hadn't ended. The screen was still black, but the line was open. They didn't know. "So, the bank approved it?" Ayala again. She always sounded like she was managing a transaction, even when talking to her husband. "Yeah. 75,000. Clean approval. They barely asked questions." I put the fork down. Carefully. My hand didn't shake. Not yet. "And it's in his name?" Her voice sharpened. "Marlow's name, right?" "Of course. That was the whole point. His credit score is perfect. Mine's trashed from the car thing and the cards. Dad doesn't even check his accounts half the time. He won't notice until we're gone." The green beans were getting cold. I stared at them. My son's voice kept going, steady and calm, like he was discussing a grocery list. "We leave Friday. I already booked the tickets. Portugal first, then we figure out permanent residency. By the time he realizes what happened, we'll be untouchable. Different country, different system. And honestly, even if he wanted to do something, he won't. You know how he is." "He'll just take it?" Ayala sounded skeptical. "He always does. Remember when I borrowed his truck and totaled it? He paid the repairs himself, didn't even raise his voice. Or when I asked him to co-sign that lease I couldn't afford? He just signed. That's who he is. He'll cover it. He'll be upset maybe, but he'll cover it." I reached over and pressed the red button. The call ended. The screen went dark again. The kitchen was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. I sat there for a long time, looking at my plate. The chicken had gone cold too. I ate it anyway, all of it, slowly, one bite at a time. Then I stood up, washed the plate, dried it, and put it back in the cabinet. I walked out to my car and sat in the driver's seat without starting the engine. The neighborhood was quiet. A few lights on in windows. Someone walking a dog down the street. Normal Thursday evening. My phone lit up on the passenger seat. A text from Corbin. "Hey Dad, meant to ask, can I swing by tomorrow and grab that toolbox from the garage? Need it for a project." I read it 3 times. Then I set the phone face down and stared through the windshield at nothing. $75,000. My name, my credit, my responsibility, and they were leaving the country in 2 days. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there in the dark car, hands resting on the steering wheel, and felt something shift inside my chest. Something that had been bending for years. Something that finally stopped bending and became something else. The phone buzzed again. Same call. Still connected. I looked at the screen. 47 minutes, 12 seconds. It was still recording. The office was already half full when I arrived Friday morning. Open plan layout, rows of desks separated by low dividers. I've worked here 18 years. Systems heating architect. I design HVAC configurations for commercial buildings. Not glamorous, not exciting, reliable. I set my coffee down and opened my laptop. Email, schedules, client requests, the usual rhythm. Owen Krall stopped by my desk around 9:30. He's 45, runs a property management company, been my client for over a decade. Good man, pays on time, respects deadlines. "Morning, Marlow." Got the revised specs for the Riverside project? Sent them yesterday. Check your spam folder. He laughed. Always one step ahead. Thanks. He paused. You okay? You look tired. Didn't sleep great. Yeah, I hear that. My daughter's been keeping us up. Teenagers. He shook his head and walked back to his meeting. I returned to my screen. Work was easy, predictable. Numbers and systems and airflow calculations. Things that made sense, things that followed rules. Corbin didn't follow rules. Never had. I thought about the truck. 7 years ago. He borrowed it to move furniture for a friend. Came back with the front end smashed, frame bent. Insurance wouldn't cover it because he wasn't listed as a driver. Repair estimate, $6,200. He stood in my driveway, hands in his pockets, looking at his shoes. Dad, I'm really sorry. I'll pay you back, I promise. He never did. I paid it. He thanked me and drove away in his girlfriend's car. Then there was the lease. He wanted an apartment he couldn't afford. The landlord required a cosigner. He showed up at my door with the paperwork already filled out. It's just a formality, Dad. I've got the income. They just want backup. You won't have to pay anything, I promise. 3 months later, he stopped paying rent. The landlord called me. I covered 6 months before the lease ended. $11,000. Corbin apologized. Said he'd hit a rough patch. Said it wouldn't happen again. I believed him because he was my son, and because Ayala was always there, nodding along, saying things like, "We're so grateful," and "Marlow, you're amazing," while she calculated how much more she could take. She was good at that, making gratitude sound like strategy. I remember one dinner at their place. Ayala cooked, something elaborate with salmon and risotto. Corbin poured wine. Everything looked perfect. "We've been talking," Corbin said, glancing at Ayala, "and we just want you to know how much we appreciate everything you've done for us. Seriously, Dad, you've been incredible." Ayala smiled. "Marlow, you're the kind of father everyone wishes they had. So patient, so understanding." I nodded. Said thank you. Finished my salmon. 2 weeks later, Corbin called asking for $3,000. Car repairs. Urgent. Needed it by Friday. I transferred it the same day. My coworkers thought I was patient. Owen once told me I had the temperament of a saint. Most people would have lost it by now, dealing with half the stuff you handle, but you? Never seen you rattled. I wasn't patient. I was tired, and tired men don't push back. They just absorb, until they can't anymore. I looked at my calendar. 2 notifications. 1, Corbin's flight, Friday afternoon, today. 2, first payment due on a loan I didn't know existed, next Tuesday. I opened a new tab and searched for the bank's customer service number. Then I closed the tab. Not yet. I finished my coffee and returned to the Riverside project specs. The math didn't lie. The systems worked when you built them right. People were harder, but systems, financial systems, legal systems, those could be built right too. And they didn't care about apologies. The bank sat on the corner of 4th and Marshall, all glass and beige stone. I walked in just after lunch. The lobby was quiet. A few customers at the teller windows, a woman filling out forms at a high table near the entrance. I approached the information desk. A young man in a navy tie looked up. "How can I help you today?" "I need to speak with someone about a loan." "Personal or business?" "Personal, recent approval. I have questions about the terms." He nodded and made a phone call. 2 minutes later, a woman in a gray suit appeared from a side hallway. "Mr. Venton? I'm Darius Cole's assistant. He handles loan accounts. Follow me, please." We walked through a corridor lined with small offices. She stopped at one and knocked. "Mr. Venton to see you." Darius Cole stood up from behind his desk. Early 60s, thinning hair, glasses on a chain around his neck. He gestured to a chair. "Mr. Venton, what can I do for you?" I sat down. I understand there was a loan approved under my name recently. I'd like to review the documentation. His fingers moved across his keyboard. Let me pull that up. He scrolled, clicked, frowned slightly. Yes, approved Wednesday, 75,000, 48-month term. Funds were released Thursday morning. Released to whom? Joint account. You and Corbin Venton. Per the application, you listed him as a beneficiary with full access. I kept my voice level. And the repayment responsibility? Primary borrower. That's you. The account holder can access funds, but repayment obligation falls to the name on the loan. So, if the funds are used and the account holder leaves the country, I'm still responsible. Darius leaned back slightly. That's correct. The loan terms don't account for geographic location of secondary account holders, only the borrower. Is that legal? It's contractual. You signed the authorization. Electronically? Yes. Wednesday at 11:47 a.m. I wasn't home. Wednesday at 11:47 a.m., I was at work. But someone with access to my email and my phone could have completed the signature process. Darius must have seen something in my face because his tone shifted. Mr. Venton, if there's a concern about authorization, we have a fraud claims process. It's not fraud if I didn't report it. He blinked. I'm sorry? I said it's not fraud. I'm just trying to understand the terms. The terms are standard. First payment is due in 7 business days. After that, monthly on the 15th. Failure to pay initiates collections procedures. And those procedures include freezing the joint account? He hesitated. If there's evidence of intent to evade repayment, yes. The bank can request judicial freezes on associated accounts, especially for large sums. Even internationally? That depends on treaties and cooperation agreements. Portugal, for example, has reciprocal enforcement structures with the U.S. for financial obligations. I nodded slowly. Thank you. Can I get a full copy of the loan agreement and the account access logs? I can email those within the hour. Perfect. I stood up, shook his hand. He looked at me carefully. Mr. Venton, if you need to contest anything. I don't. I just like to have documentation. I walked out of the bank and across the street to the parking garage, took the stairs instead of the elevator, needed to move, needed to think. At the 4th floor landing, I stopped and leaned against the concrete wall. Corbin's flight left in 3 hours. By tonight, he'd be in Lisbon. By tomorrow, he'd start accessing that money. And by next week, when the payment came due, he'd be unreachable. That was the plan. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. The loan documents arrived while I was walking. I downloaded them, scrolled through the authorization logs. Wednesday, 11:47 a.m. Electronic signature confirmed. IP address matched my home network. He'd signed it from my house, probably while I was at work, probably while Ayala watched. They'd planned this, carefully, and they'd assumed I wouldn't notice, or wouldn't care, or wouldn't do anything, because I never had before. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Venton, this is Rita from the bank's compliance department. Mr. Cole flagged your account for a follow-up call. Do you have a moment? I straightened up. Yes. We're required to inform you that any suspected misuse of loan funds can be reported within 14 days of disbursement. After that window, the claim process becomes more complicated. I'm calling to confirm you're aware of your rights. I am. And you don't wish to file a claim at this time? Not yet. Understood. If that changes, please contact us directly. This call is being recorded for quality assurance. Thank you. She hung up. I stood there in the stairwell, looking at my phone. 14 days. The plane would land in 8 hours. I put the phone away and walked back to my car. Helena Price's office was on the 3rd floor of a converted brick building downtown. Small practice. 2 attorneys, 1 paralegal. She specialized in financial liability and contract disputes. I'd found her website at 2 in the morning, sitting at my kitchen table with a pot of coffee and a list of questions I couldn't answer alone. Her assistant led me into a narrow conference room. Helena entered a moment later, late 40s, sharp eyes, wearing a blazer over a plain blouse. She shook my hand and sat down across from me. "Mr. Venton, you mentioned a loan situation on the phone. Walk me through it." I did. All of it. The overheard call, the bank meeting, the timeline, the $75,000 already released to a joint account I didn't open. She took notes on a yellow legal pad. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, she set her pen down. "First question, do you want to pursue criminal fraud charges?" "No." "Why not?" "Because it's my son." She nodded. "Second question, do you want to recover the money?" "I want to stop being responsible for it." "Those aren't the same thing." "I know." She leaned back. "Here's what you need to understand. If you file a fraud claim, you can potentially reverse the loan. But that requires proving you didn't authorize it. The electronic signature creates a presumption of validity. You'd need to demonstrate coercion, identity theft, or incapacity. That's a long process, and it might not work. What's the alternative? You let the loan stand, but you activate the contractual protections. Meaning, the loan agreement includes clauses for non-payment and misuse of funds. If the beneficiary account shows evidence of intent to evade repayment, such as immediate international transfer or inaccessibility, the bank can freeze assets and pursue collection directly from that account before coming after you. How do I prove intent? You don't. The bank does. You just provide documentation that raises flags, transaction patterns, communication records, travel details. I thought about the phone call, 47 minutes, still saved in my call log. "I have a recording." Helena raised an eyebrow. "Of what?" "My son and his wife discussing the loan, planning the trip, saying I wouldn't notice and wouldn't do anything even if I did." "When was this recorded?" "Thursday night, the night before the loan was disbursed." "Did they know they were being recorded?" "No. The call stayed connected after we said goodbye. They didn't realize." She tapped her pen against the pad. "That's admissible in civil proceedings. Not criminal, but civil. And it directly establishes intent." "What do I do with it?" "Nothing yet. You wait." "For what?" "For him to land. For the account to show activity. For the bank to have something concrete to freeze. If you act now, he'll panic and move the money before systems can respond. You let him think he's safe. Let him start spending. Then you provide the documentation and let the institution handle enforcement. How long does that take? Once the freeze request is filed, 48 to 72 hours for domestic accounts. International accounts take longer, but if he's moving money through standard banking channels, they'll catch it. I stared at the table. So I just wait. You wait. You document. And when the time is right, you file. And then the debt transfers. The bank pursues him, not you. You're released from liability once they establish willful evasion. What if they can't find him? They will. Portugal has cooperative agreements. If he's using the money, he's leaving a trail. I nodded slowly, felt something settle in my chest. "What do I owe you?" "Consultation fee is $200. If you retain me for filing and follow-through, we'll discuss a flat rate." "Retain you." She smiled slightly. "I'll draft the preliminary documents. Bring me the recording and any other communication records. Travel itineraries if you have them. Bank statements showing account access patterns. I'll have it by Monday." "Good. One more thing, Mr. Venton." "Yes?" "This works because you're staying calm. The moment you confront him, the moment you warn him, this falls apart. Can you do that?" I thought about Corbin's text asking for the toolbox, about his voice on the phone saying I'd just take it. Yes. Then we're in good shape. I left her office and walked 3 blocks to a phone repair shop, the kind of place that fixes cracked screens and retrieves deleted messages. A kid with headphones around his neck looked up from the counter. "Help you?" I need call log documentation, timestamps, duration, voice file if possible. For court? For records. He nodded. $15. Take about 10 minutes. I handed him my phone. He plugged it into a laptop and started typing. I watched the traffic outside. A bus passed. A woman with a stroller. Normal Friday afternoon. The kid handed my phone back along with a printed sheet and a USB drive. Call log, audio file, metadata, all there. I paid him and walked back to my car. Corbin's flight status. Departed. On time. I sat in the driver's seat and opened the browser on my phone. Tracked the flight path. Watched the little airplane icon move across the Atlantic. 8 hours until landing. I drove home, made dinner, and ate it at the kitchen table. Then I went into my office and organized everything into a folder. Loan documents, call logs, email records, Helena's notes, everything in order, everything ready. At midnight, I checked the flight status again. Still in the air. I went to bed and slept 6 solid hours. Saturday morning, 6:04 a.m. My phone vibrated once on the nightstand. Flight status. Landed. I lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling. Then I got up, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. The joint account was accessible through the bank's online portal. I'd set up view-only access Friday afternoon. Darius had walked me through it after I requested monitoring capabilities. I logged in. Account balance, $74,680. One transaction, $320 withdrawal, ATM in Lisbon, timestamp, 4:47 a.m., local time. They'd landed, cleared customs, and gone straight to get cash. I took a sip of coffee and opened a new tab, pulled up the loan agreement. Section 7, Default and Remediation. Subsection C, Evidence of Evasion. I highlighted 3 passages. Borrower holds primary obligation, regardless of beneficiary location. Beneficiary access to funds does not transfer repayment responsibility. Evidence of intent to evade may include, but is not limited to, rapid international transfer, closure of domestic accounts, or communication indicating pre-planned departure. I copied the text into a document and saved it. Then I went back to the account, refreshed the page. New transaction, 8200 international wire transfer. Destination, Banco Comercial Português. Timestamp, 5:13 a.m. They were moving it. Fast. I didn't react, didn't call, didn't text. I just documented it. Screenshot, time, amount. By noon, 4 more transactions had posted. Transfers mostly. Some cash withdrawals. Total outflow, $22,400. They were spending like they'd earned it. I made lunch, sandwich, chips. Sat on the back porch and watched the yard. The grass needed mowing. I'd do it tomorrow. My phone rang. Corbin. I didn't answer. He called again 20 minutes later. Then a text. Dad just landed. Everything went smooth. I'll call you in a few days once we're settled. Love you. I read it twice. Then I set the phone down and went back inside. Helena had said to wait, to let the pattern establish itself, to let him feel safe. So I waited. Sunday was quiet. I went to the hardware store, bought some wood screws and a new level, came home and fixed the loose deck railing I'd been meaning to address for 6 months. The account balance dropped to $51,000, more transfers, more cash, a payment to a property rental agency, another to a car service. They were settling in. Monday morning, I drove to Helena's office. She was waiting with the draft petition and the compliance forms. How much has moved? She asked. 24,000 so far. Good, that's enough. The bank will flag it as abnormal activity once we file. International transfers within 48 hours of loan disbursement raise automatic alerts. She slid the papers across the desk. Sign here and here, initial this section. I signed. What happens now? I file this with the bank's legal department and with the compliance office. They'll review, verify the evidence, and issue a freeze order. Timeline is 48 to 72 hours. And then? Then the account locks. No withdrawals, no transfers, everything stops, and the collections process redirects to the beneficiary. You're released from the obligation once they establish he had full knowledge and intent. Do I need to do anything else? Stay quiet. Don't respond to his calls. Don't engage. Let the system work. I nodded. She looked at me carefully. How are you holding up? I'm fine. Most people wouldn't be. Most people aren't me. She almost smiled. No, they're not. I left her office and went to work, responded to emails, reviewed project timelines, had lunch with Owen, who asked if I'd heard from Corbin lately. He's traveling, I said. Nice. Where to? Portugal. Good for him. You must be proud. I'm something. Owen laughed, thought I was joking. I went home that night and checked the account again. Balance, 48,300, more outflow. They were accelerating. I opened my email. Helena had sent a confirmation. Petition filed, initial review complete. Freeze order pending executive approval. Estimated activation, Wednesday 9 a.m. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark living room. Wednesday. 2 more days. Corbin called again Tuesday morning. I let it go to voicemail. Hey Dad, just checking in. We're getting settled. Found a great place near the coast. I'll send pictures soon. Call me back when you get a chance. His voice was light, happy. I deleted the message. That afternoon, the account balance hit $43,000. They'd spent $32,000 in 4 days. I made dinner, pasta, salad, ate it slowly. At 9 p.m., my phone buzzed. Email from Helena. Freeze order approved. Activation. Tomorrow 6 a.m. EST. All account access will be suspended. Collections redirect filing complete. You're clear. I read it 3 times. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. I woke up before the alarm, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, waited. At 6:04, my phone vibrated. Email notification, bank security alert. Account activity suspended due to compliance review. For questions, contact legal department. I opened the laptop, logged into the portal. The account was frozen. Balance, $42,850. No pending transactions, no transfer options. Just a red banner across the top. Account under review, access restricted. I sat back and took a sip of coffee. It was done. My phone rang, unknown number. I answered. Mr. Venton, this is Rita from Compliance. I'm calling to inform you that your loan account has been flagged for irregular activity. Per your attorney's filing, we've initiated a freeze and redirected collection obligations to the beneficiary account holder. Understood. You're no longer listed as the primary responsible party. Our legal team will handle enforcement and recovery. You'll receive formal documentation within 7 business days. Thank you. Is there anything else you need from us? No, you've been very helpful. She hung up. I sat there, looking at the frozen account screen. $42,000, locked, inaccessible, and $32,000 already spent. Corbin would wake up in a few hours, try to make a transfer, get an error message, call the bank, and then he'd realize. I closed the laptop and got ready for work. The office was normal, emails, meetings. Owen stopped by with coffee and a question about the Riverside project. Final inspections are next week. You good with the schedule? All set. Perfect. You're the most reliable guy I know, Marlow. Seriously. I nodded. Went back to my screen. At 10:30, my phone rang. Corbin. I let it ring. He called 4 more times before noon. Then the texts started. Dad, call me. It's urgent. Something's wrong with the account. I can't access anything. Dad, please, I need to talk to you. I didn't reply. At 1:15, Ayala called. I didn't answer. Another text. Marlow, we need your help. The bank froze everything. Please call us back. I put the phone in my drawer and finished my work. At 4 p.m., my phone rang again. This time, it was Darius Cole. Mr. Venton, just wanted to confirm, the freeze is active, and we've received several contact attempts from your son. Per your attorney's instructions, We're not engaging. All communication is being routed through legal. Just wanted you to be aware. Thank you. Also, I want to say, I've been doing this 23 years. I've seen a lot of situations. This one was handled correctly. You did the right thing. I appreciate that. Take care. I hung up and sat there for a moment. The right thing. I wasn't sure what that meant anymore, but I knew I wasn't paying for their mistakes. I drove home, made dinner, ate it at the table. My phone rang twice more, Corbin, then Ayala, then Corbin again. I turned the phone off. At 8 p.m., there was a knock at the door. I looked through the window. Owen stood on the porch, hands in his pockets. I opened the door. "Hey," he said. "Sorry to just show up. I tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail. Phone's off." "Yeah, listen, I don't want to intrude, but I ran into Corbin's friend today. He mentioned Corbin's been trying to reach you. Said something about a banking issue. Everything okay?" I looked at him. Steady. Calm. "Everything's fine." Owen studied my face. "You sure?" "I'm sure." He nodded slowly. "All right. If you need anything." "I don't. But thank you." He hesitated, then stepped back. "Okay. See you tomorrow." I closed the door and went back to the kitchen. The house was quiet. I thought about Corbin on the phone Thursday night. He'll just take it. That's who he is. I thought about Ayala saying I was patient, understanding, the kind of father everyone wished they had. I thought about every time I'd covered a debt, every time I'd signed a paper, every time I'd believed it would be different. And I thought about the frozen account, the locked transfers, the compliance review, the system doing what silence had already decided. I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 9 texts. I deleted them all. Then I opened my email and found the message from Helena. "Final documentation attached. You're released from all liability. Collections enforcement is active. Estimated recovery timeline, 90-120 days. Well done." I printed the document, filed it in the folder with everything else. Then I closed the office door and went to bed. Thursday morning. The sun came through the blinds at an angle that meant it was later than I usually woke up. I checked the time, 7:42. I never slept past 6:30. I made coffee and sat at the table. My phone was still on, notifications muted. I unlocked it. 23 missed calls, 14 texts, 3 voicemails. I scrolled through them. Corbin. "Dad, please just answer the phone." Ayala. "Marlow, this isn't funny. We're stuck here. We can't access anything." Corbin. "I don't understand what's happening. Did you do something?" Ayala. "We know you're seeing these. Answer us." Corbin. "Dad, I'm begging you, just talk to me." I set the phone down and drank my coffee. They knew. Took them long enough. At work, Owen caught me in the break room. "Hey, you see the email from the Riverside owners? They want to move up the final walkthrough." "When?" "Tomorrow, if possible. I know it's short notice." "I can make it work." He poured himself coffee. "You doing all right? You seem—" He paused. "I don't know. Different." "Different how?" "Quieter. More than usual, I mean." "I'm fine." He nodded, but didn't look convinced. "If you ever want to grab a beer and talk, I appreciate it." He left it at that. At lunch, I checked the bank portal. The account was still frozen, balance unchanged. A new notification. Legal review in progress. Estimated resolution, 14 business days. 14 days until they made it official. Until the loan was off my name completely. I could wait 14 days. My phone buzzed. Another text from Corbin. "Dad, we're going to lose the apartment. They won't take a credit card. We need the account unlocked, please. I'll explain everything. Just call me back." I put the phone away. At 3:00 p.m., Helena called. "Mr. Venton, quick update. The bank's legal team confirmed they've attempted contact with your son. He's claiming the freeze is an error. They've informed him that the freeze is procedural and related to suspected evasion of loan repayment. He's asked to file an appeal." "Can he?" He can try. It won't go anywhere. The evidence is clear. He had full access, made immediate international transfers, and your recorded call establishes intent. The appeal will be denied within 48 hours. And then? Then collections moves forward. They'll pursue asset recovery through international channels. If he doesn't cooperate, they'll escalate to legal action. But that's not your problem anymore. Good. One more thing. He'll probably try to contact you directly. In person, if he can. Be prepared for that. He's in Portugal. For now. If the money runs out, he might try to come back. I thought about that. Corbin showing up at my door, demanding explanations, asking for help. If he does, I'll handle it. I'm sure you will. Call me if anything changes. She hung up. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen. The Riverside specs were done. The project was on schedule. Everything was fine. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Corbin. It was a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Marlow Venton? Yes. This is Kenneth Pratt. I'm an attorney representing Corbin Venton. I've been retained to address the account freeze issue. I'd like to discuss this matter with you directly. I leaned back in my chair. I have legal representation. You can contact Helena Price. Mr. Venton, I think we can resolve this more efficiently if we speak directly. Your son is in a difficult position. He's made mistakes, but... Contact my attorney. Mr. Venton? I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Same number. I declined the call. 30 seconds later, a text. Mr. Venton, please reconsider. Your son is willing to negotiate repayment terms. Let's find a solution. I blocked the number. Went back to work. At 5:00, I left the office and drove home. The neighborhood was quiet. A few kids playing basketball in a driveway, someone mowing their lawn. I parked in the garage and walked inside. The house felt different, emptier maybe. Or maybe I was just noticing it now. I made dinner. Chicken, rice. Same as always. My phone rang. Unknown number again. I didn't answer. Then a text from Corbin. Dad, he said you hung up on him. Why are you doing this? Just talk to me, please. I deleted it. Another text, this time from Ayala. Marlow, whatever you think Corbin did, he didn't mean to hurt you. He's your son. You can't just abandon him. He needs you. I stared at that one for a long moment. He needs you. Like he needed me to cover the truck, to co-sign the lease, to pay his rent, to take responsibility for everything he broke. He needed me to be convenient. I deleted the text. Then I turned off my phone and spent the evening reading. Nothing important. Just a book I'd started months ago and never finished. At 10 I went to bed. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't think about Corbin at all. Friday came and went. The walkthrough at Riverside went smoothly. Owners were pleased. Owen shook my hand and said I'd saved him a headache. You always do, Marlow. I don't say it enough, but you're the reason half my projects succeed. Just doing the job. It's more than that. You're consistent, reliable. People don't appreciate that enough. I nodded and packed up my tools. Reliable. That word kept coming up. The weekend was quiet. I mowed the lawn, fixed the deck railing properly this time, went to the hardware store for paint, and repainted the trim around the front door. Normal things. My phone stayed off most of the time. When I turned it on to check messages, there were more calls, more texts. I didn't read them, just cleared the notifications and turned it back off. Monday morning, Helena called. Mr. Venton, the appeal was denied, officially. The bank's legal team sent the notice this morning. Your son has been informed that the freeze is permanent pending full repayment of the loan. How much does he owe? $75,000, plus fees and interest. Total is closer to 78. And he spent 32. Correct. Which means the bank is pursuing recovery of the full amount from him, not you. You're clear. When does it finalize? The paperwork should be complete by end of week. You'll receive official confirmation that you're released from the loan obligation. After that, it's entirely between the bank and your son. Thank you. You're welcome. And Marlow? Yes? You handled this better than most people would have. I know it wasn't easy. It was easier than you'd think. She paused. Take care of yourself. You too. I hung up and sat in my car. I'd taken the call in the parking lot at work, hadn't wanted to have the conversation inside. It was done. Really done. I started the engine and drove to the office. Owen was already at his desk when I arrived. He waved me over. Got a new project proposal. Big one. Hospital expansion. They want someone who can handle complex systems. I told them you're the guy. Send me the details. Will do. Oh, and I meant to ask, you hear from Corbin lately? I know you said he was traveling. Not recently. Owen frowned. Everything okay with you two? We're fine. He didn't push. Just nodded and went back to his screen. I worked through the morning, reviewed the hospital proposal, sent back preliminary notes, ate lunch at my desk, responded to emails. At 2 my phone rang. Darius Cole. Mr. Venton, I wanted to update you personally. The freeze on the joint account has been made permanent. We've initiated full recovery proceedings against Corbin Venton. As of today, you're officially released from loan liability. Understood. I'll send the formal documentation to your attorney. But I wanted you to hear it from me first. You're done. This is over. Thank you. One more thing. Your son attempted to contact our executive office this morning, claimed the freeze was illegal. Our legal team informed him that all actions were procedural and justified. He was not pleased. I imagine not. Just wanted you to be aware. He may escalate his attempts to reach you. I can handle it. I'm sure you can. Take care, Mr. Venton. I set the phone down and stared at my computer screen. It was over. The loan was off my name. The debt was his. The responsibility was his. And I felt nothing. Not relief, not satisfaction, not anger. Just quiet. I finished the workday and drove home, made dinner, ate it slowly, cleaned the dishes, sat on the back porch and watched the sun go down. My phone buzzed. Another text from Corbin. Dad, I know you're seeing these. I don't understand why you're doing this. I'm your son. Please just talk to me. I need to understand. I read it twice. Then I typed a reply. You said I'd just take it. You were wrong. I hit send. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. Corbin, I answered. Dad, don't. His voice cracked. Please, just listen. No, you listen. You took my name, my credit, my trust, you planned it, you executed it, and you assumed I'd cover it because I always have. That's over. Dad, I made a mistake. You made a choice, and now you live with it. But the loan is yours, the debt is yours, I'm done. Dad, please. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. I declined the call. Then I turned it off. I sat there on the porch, listening to the crickets, watching the sky turn dark. Somewhere across the ocean, Corbin was panicking, calling attorneys, trying to figure out how to undo what couldn't be undone. And I was here, calm, clear, free. 3 weeks later, I sat in the bank's executive review room. Darius Cole was there, along with a woman from the legal department and a compliance officer named Victor Lang. Mr. Venton, the woman began, we've asked you here to formally close out the loan matter. The debt has been fully transferred to Corbin Venton. Collections are active through international channels. Understood. Victor leaned forward. I've reviewed your case personally. Your documentation made this resolution possible. The recorded conversation established clear intent. We've declined all leniency requests. And the loan is off my record? Completely, the woman confirmed. As of last Friday, there's no financial obligation tied to your name. Your credit remains intact. Darius slid a folder across the table. Final documentation. I took it, opened it, scanned the pages. Loan obligation, terminated. Primary borrower status, revoked. Financial liability, transferred. I closed the folder and stood up. Victor extended his hand. You protected yourself. That takes strength. I shook it, said nothing, walked out of the bank and across the parking lot, got in my car. My phone buzzed. A text from Corbin. Dad, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't even know if you care anymore, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I thought I could fix things on my own. I thought I could just start over somewhere else and everything would be okay. I was wrong, and I know I hurt you. I know I broke your trust. I just hope someday you'll forgive me. I read it once. Then I deleted it, started the engine, drove home. The system had done what silence had already decided, and I'd let it.